Hey guys, so somebody asked for a walkthrough of my custom SQL quantity um, script, so um, thought I'd just throw a quick video together here. So I'm in my Halo instance. Um, this relies on a couple of things. So I've got a custom field created. I'm just going to show off the included workstations one here. So I came in to create a custom field under the contract entity, um, and then I just called this included workstations, gave it a label, field type of text, input type of integer. I didn't want a decimal because it didn't make sense. You're not going to have half a computer. Um, And then the only other things that I set were the tab was the details tab, and the group name was included quantities, so that we can find it. The other thing that I created was the actual custom SQL quantity. So if you're not familiar with how to do that, you go into your configuration, billing, recurring invoices, and then there's a button right here. And then I've called mine active workstations, no date filter. I've got plans for some date filters to go on to some future versions of this. So I'll walk you through the SQL here. So um, we are pulling back the device ID from the device table and counting the number of device IDs. If that um, count of device IDs is less than or equal to the number of included workstations, then we're returning a value of 0. If um, if it's not less than or equal to, then we're going to count the number of device IDs and subtract that from the number in our custom field, and then return that as the quantity field. And then I've got some some table joins on here. So this one is to return the device type information, the asset type information. This one is to pull through the customer site um, and joining that on the device's site ID field. And then we pull through the customer um, information based on the site. We're also pulling through the um, invoice header table based on the area in the invoice header. So this requires, or you can use the invoice ID variable to pull um, to dynamically pull stuff through. So we have to kind of backtrack our device information based on what invoice it is. So we're pulling through the invoice header, and then based on that, we're joining that on the area. The other thing that I forgot to mention was that this also, since we're putting um, that CF included workstations on the contract, we need to also join the contract. So there needs to be a contract associated with the recurring invoice. So in my environment, we um, pull information through Intune as well as our RMM. So we don't want BYOD devices. So we're pulling through the Intune ownership type field um, when it creates the asset. And so this is the field number in my instance of that field, of that custom field for the Intune ownership type. So in this, we're testing to see if it's null or if it is company. Basically, we just don't want it to say personal. Um, we're also just pulling through workstation asset types. We're only pulling through certain asset statuses. So in this case, we're pulling through in stock, active, limited use, and missing. And then on this, we're pulling based on the invoice ID variable that we're pulling through and querying that in the invoice header table. And then, not sure why, but it did require me to group that by the CF included workstations field. So with all of that set up, we can then go and create our customer's contract. So I've got a test customer up here. I'm just going to go into contracts and create a new contract and set our contract type. This doesn't matter so much. And generate that. And then while I'm in here setting up my contract, I can add my numbers of included workstations. So just for example purposes, I'm going to say 5 and hit save. And that's automatically going to create my recurring invoice. I'm not going to say that that's active. I don't want it to actually create that. And then I'm going to add my recurring device type, or my recurring item on the invoice. So I'm just going to do one of those. And then I'm going to come in here and edit it. So if I choose the quantity based on the custom SQL quantity and select the custom SQL quantity that we created earlier, and I'm going to save that and save that. And that should pull through 29 as our quantity here. We can check and make sure that that's working by coming in to our contract that got generated and editing that, and then coming down to the included quantities section. So if I say that's now 15, it should be 10 less when we look at that recurring invoice. Yep, now it's 19. So there you go.